I am already angry going into this. Honestly to God, I'm already angry going into this. Because I after days and weeks of back and forth and all of this drama involving finalizing payment method for publishing my ebook and the bundle and all of that, only to discover that it's the problem didn't lie with the international payment. The problem lies with my bank, who apparently made changes to the banking structure and never told me. Loyal customer for over 10 years, but sure, that's the way you do things. And now I have to go through an entirely new process, possibly go and open a new bank account with another bank. I'm going to have to find out which one is going to do the things that I need to get done, because it's not that easy in this country. And the type of account I'm going to have to open in order to link to this, it's problematic. It's not just, okay, let's need two forms of ID and you'll click back. No, you're going to need two forms of ID. You're going to need job letter, pay slip, where you was born, the hospital you was born in, the street you grew up on, who your neighbor was, the doctor, the name of the doctor that gave birth to you. All this drama you need. I'm telling you, it's pretty much, it's easier to rob a bank in this country than to open a bank account. So that is the problem, and now things are delayed because of that. And now I have to go in here and watch Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which decides, hey, you know what? We're going to do an episode that is supposedly going to be, our big action episode, and they get every freaking thing wrong. So that is my drama in regards to this. And now I have to go in and review Star Trek Starfleet Academy, because, I don't already have enough things aggravating me, because I really wanted to get this done, get stuff out there. Now I have to deal with this. But I choose to look on the brighter side of things. There must be a reason why these things are happening. And I am not going to let it try to drive me insane, because this is Carnival weekend in Trinidad and Tobago. We have Parade of the Bands on Monday and Tuesday, Juve, all these things. All these things are good. And I'm going to try to view on the brighter side of life in regards to this. Also, people, super thanks and super chat are available right now on my channel. I've been so wrapped up in this, I forgot to mention that. So if you wish to partake in that, you can do that. I'm also going to have channel memberships available from this weekend. So if you wish to support the channel, that's going to be really good to do. We're going to have some videos coming out soon that are going to be exclusive to channel memberships. So all of that. But, it's all going to be all fun and that. And that's where the happiness ends, because now I have to get into this mess. So buckle up, let's dive in. We start off this with Caleb and the Betazoid girl, and they're getting it on there, oh, look, a heterosexual relationship in Star Trek. Finally. Yes, and they angle it to try and get us a little shot of some side boob. The only problem is that, this chick is as flat as a board and there's literally nothing to see there. I mean, nothing to see there at all. And this is one of the most forced love-making type relationships I have seen in a long time. And then, she decides to tell him, hey, listen, let me tell you about some of my past sexual exploits, because that's good pillow talk. And she starts talking about this other, some other species thing she was with. I can't remember the name, but I do know the race that she's referring to was in the first Star Trek movie. The woman who came on board with the bald head and thing, and she taken a vow of celibacy. Yeah, that's the race she was referring to. And starts talking about how, how some weird ritual they had when they were doing it. I don't know. Apparently, like the family has to come and watch them or some weird shit like that. I really don't know. I really don't know. And of course, that thing on her neck is very prevalent to them because it's like, oh, I'm sure this is going to have some big impact in the show going forward because why not? Yeah. So that's what they're going on about, yammering on back and forth and stuff that they expect people to care about, but whatever. That's their thing. It's just that, this is probably the first heterosexual relationship we're going to see. So then she does this thing where they kind of connect mentally and she takes him inside of like this mental scape where she goes to where she's this happy place that she's been and all of that. And then she sees this teddy bear thing there, and it's the teddy bear that Caleb had when he was a child, and when she touches it, gets flashbacks of what happened and all kind of thing, and then he gets all freaked out over it, and I think it's like it's an invasion of his mind, all that. And I'm like partially okay, partially I'm getting tired of this crap, right? Partially I'm getting tired of this crap. Okay, it wasn't cool for her to get into your mind like that. All right. But you knew you're hooking up with that chick who has some kind of mental abilities. We're not really 100% sure how it works because betazoids have certain things that I don't know, like that's making it up with she. So, okay, but you gotta understand that it's a bit of an invasion, yeah. But the way he freaks out and all kind of thing it's all so forced, and it's just really, really ridiculous. And something he says that kind of something that gets all upset and stuff because that's how these things work out. Where the women are always much more thing than the men, and she's all woo whatever and all of this because that's what they do. They have their little thing there, and that's how that works out in regards to it. So then we get a look at the ugliest starship I have ever seen. I don't know who designed this thing and thought it would be a good design for us for a Star Trek starship, but my God, is it disturbing looking? It's just really ridiculous. So Holly Hunter is talking, and as usual, you can barely understand what this woman is saying, but she's addressing the cadets and telling them they're going to be doing this activity where they're going to be split up into teams, right? And they've come to this basically ship graveyard, which makes no sense, and I'll explain why shortly, right? So it's going to be the Starfleet Academy and the War College are going to be working together, right? And they're going to be going to this ship called the I think it's the Yamato, something like that, right? And they're going to be working in two teams, it's blue team and red team, right? And the team that's going to go over to the ship is going to go to the database to try and restart the ship, while the team that remains on board their ship is going to be basically acting like getting them information and guide them. So there's going to be a recon team and a team back at the thing to get stuff done. Simple enough. Okay. So you would think, well, that's something they're going to be doing there in regards to it. So that's their thing, and you see the Klingon there because for some reason this guy needs to be there. And they have nobody doesn't shove him out of airlock yet, but time will tell. Time will tell. It's in Miyazaki, the USS Miyazaki. Sorry, that's the name of it, right? So they have to go and try and restart it. That's the thing. And they're going to be some of the war college is going to be working with them to get this done, and they're going there. So they're walking to the airlock, and this guy in front here, right? He is the one who's going to be leading the team to get things done. This is the team that's going to be staying behind. And yes, that is the young lady who ate her comm badge the first day there. Why she is still in Starfleet, I don't know, or in the academy, I really don't know. But apparently, all you just need to do is be of a certain body type and fine. They'll let you stay no matter how much you screw up. Not a problem. That's how that's going to work. in regards to it. So yeah, they're going to get there. And then the hologram, who I don't know why this hologram is doing any of this, why it's supposed to make any kind of sense, is asking the Vulcan if he's meditating. This guy is like the worst Vulcan I've ever seen, but then again, that could be said for all of them, because the worst Klingon I've ever seen is sitting next to the hologram. And then he tells us something about, oh, though he's Daddy Miyazaki means a lot to him. Basically, he read some comic books about it, and that's what he's talking about. And I don't know, maybe these are the comic books they're referencing to, the ones IDW published about Star Trek and then got so freaking horrible everybody stopped reading them. That's entirely possible. Yeah. So remember this guy, because he does one of the most heroic things in this entire episode possible, but that's clearly not going to last. So they're walking there and talking about it and one and the other and stuff. And then say that, in regards to the Miyazaki and one or the other, and then Caleb makes this idiotic reference about how, oh, it's Starfleet propaganda, trying to get people involved and all kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, we know that they can't kill you because you're one of the key stars of this show. But I'm just wondering, is it possible somebody could just accidentally shoot him? I mean, that's just accidental discharge of a phaser might be the best way to go, but clearly not going to do that. So what's the point of any of this? So yes, they are ready and they head over to the Miyazaki there. Meanwhile, we have Princess here on the comms. They get things done. They go over there, and I don't know who designed this ship, but the layout of it, the whatever in the hell, these kind of things are just ridiculous. But what they do. So here's the part that I talked about in regards to the graveyard, the ship graveyard, and how that makes no sense, right? So they go over to the ship that they have to try and reset the power on the ship to get it done. And of course, Caleb, who is capable of doing anything and everything, goes to get it done, and he uses programmable matter, right? Now, before they went over there, the guy who was the head of the war college stated that, nobody who has done this exercise has ever scored over 65%, because no longer do they take the best of the best, they take idiots, right? So he goes there with the programmable matter and uses it to restore power, which then leads me to wonder, if it is programmable matter could be used to restore these ships and get things done, why do you have a ship graveyard? You could use programmable matter on all these vessels, restart them, and then Starfleet would have one of, if not the largest fleet in the entire known galaxy. They would be able to explore new worlds, deal with all the pirates and all that, and then help restore the Federation to what it needs to be. But again, when you have idiots writing things, they don't take time to ask these kinds of questions. They just decide to come up with some shit where Caleb is once again able to do anything at a drop of a hat. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Another thing, right? When they came onto this vessel, as they stepped out of the airlock and everything, right? That's about the airlock. Then they activated their personal shields, right? And it's not until after Caleb restores power and life support that they then say, okay, life support is restored, and they take off their shields. So my big question is, why didn't all of you die the minute you stepped out of the airlock if there was no life support or anything? I mean, the hologram might live, if you could call what that thing does living, but still, the hologram might live. But the rest of them should have instantly dropped dead. Because they came onto the ship and then activated their personal shields. and then only took off the personal shields after Caleb had restored life support. So you came on there when there was no life support and then activated it and then you put it off when all life support is on. This is almost as dumb as the acolyte when they had fire flickering and burning in space. These people just don't even take time to sit down and say, let's craft a coherent story anymore. It's just, no, we just need some flashy visuals and people are not going to care about what else is going on. That's it. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. So, yeah, they're back there on the ship and whatnot and the other. And Holly Hunter, Captain Foot Fetish, and the female Jem'Hadar who shouldn't exist make some bet about how fast Caleb and them could restore the life support or something, and then they do it, and then they restore that, and that's whap bam, thank you, ma'am, and that's all she wrote. And then all of a sudden, they get some readings where suddenly multiple energy readings just appear around Miyazaki, and they're not sure where they came from. They just suddenly showed up there, right? So the guy from the War College, he says that, it's most likely that they have a cloaked vessel close by, and that's why they didn't notice them. I'm gonna come back to that cloaked vessel, don't worry. Right? And then they decide to raise shoes and all kind of stuff and all of that. And then they get this comes on to the thing. And I think these creatures are called fairies or ferals or furries or some freaking thing. I don't remember. All I do know is that they all sung like how Bane sung from Dark Knight Rises. That was it. That's how they all sung. They all sung like that, and it's absolutely ridiculous. They literally ripped off the guy's voice and all that. And they come on there and they tell Holly Hunter and the rest of them that, they claim this vessel for whatever and thing, and they know that, they're willing to have some ransom or the other, and that if they don't get what they want, they're going to eat the cadets over there. And I kid you not, I am thinking at this point in time, that might be the most merciful way for this whole thing to end. Honestly, that is the most merciful way for this whole thing to end. You just keep them and that's it. That's it. Honestly, just keep them and that's it. That'll be it. That'll be everything, and that'll be the end of all this nonsense, and we could all just go back. So they go there now, and the guy from the Mummy, I don't remember his name, but who's the admiral, shows up, and they're talking and saying that these creatures are apparently a hybrid of human and some other alien. Some other alien. So you really don't know, because there are human alien hybrids on Earth, all kind of stuff. But your definition is that it's just human and some other alien. So you're painting them with a large brush at this point. Okay, sure, that's not disturbing at all. But all right, yeah, we could work with that, right? And they talk about how they're going and have to do that, but then he tells them that, sometimes even if they do pay the ransom, they have been known to kill their captors and all that. If only this was an advanced futuristic society and Starfleet had common sense, and they're saying that, they can't reach the other team or something and scam because they have some kind of jamming field. But maybe if you do research into what these creatures are, you might be able to find out whatever weaknesses they have and deal with it. No, that would take sense. So what do these idiots also, what do they decide? They are going to get in contact with Paul Giamatti because he has dealt with them before and he has a weapon that he could use against them that could wipe them out, aka genocide. Which isn't shocking to me because these sickos blew up Paul Giamatti's ship and rid of them last time. So yeah, why not? Why don't we do that? They're perfectly cool with it. So yeah, They want to bring him in because they believe he has a weapon that could be used for that. I mean, it's not like if Starfleet is supposed to be the best of the best and they could just, as I say, take 2 minutes and analyze the bloody creatures and find out what it is could be used as an advantage to deal with it. But no, we just need to bring him into the episode. So why don't we just play some Hail Mary crap and figure that's going to work? Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes absolutely perfect sense. And again, Holly Hunter is talking. I can't understand a damn thing the woman is saying. So, you know, that's what's going to happen. So these creatures who are ripoffs of Bane are walking, say, who's going out the airlock first and all of that. And for some reason, the hologram is afraid. Why? Why are you afraid? What are they going to do? Eat you? Kill you? You're a freaking hologram. You can laser fire, doesn't blast of fire, it doesn't bother you at all. You can make yourself completely intangible. All you really needed to do was just transport yourself anywhere in this vessel. Hell, you could even probably go into the circuitry, reactivate the vessel, and kill all these things. But no, that would require common sense. Instead, you have a hologram that cannot be hurt, that cannot die, that these creatures cannot inflict any harm upon whatsoever, is freaking out and scared. I tell you, boy, it's like these people are intentionally writing these episodes to piss me off. Honestly, like they're intentionally doing it. I already told you I was done angry coming into this, and I tell you, boy, wait. So then we get to this guy here. I don't remember his name because I can't remember any of these people's name, honestly. He does quite possibly the most heroic and, of course, the most Starfleet thing to do. And he isn't even in Starfleet. Let's think about it, right? But even before I get to this, right? Before I get to what he does, he had stated to Caleb and them that he made a bet that they would be the team to finally reactivate the Miyazaki, and he has bet 2 weeks ashore leave on it because he hasn't been off the ship in 6 months. The ship that is parked on Earth and used as a vessel, you haven't been off of it for 6 months, so you can walk outside and get some fresh air. And I mean, I don't want to hear somebody that or maybe it was on a different ship. I think no, he specifically stated that ship. I think it's the Athena, his name, or whatever the ugly ass ship's name is. The Athena, which the saucer section comes down to Earth and is the classroom, is the whole academy, I should say. That's what it is. He states he hasn't been off of it for 6 months. You've been on Earth. You can transport yourself any way that you want. And you, for some reason, have been inside for 6 months. You know what? Let me not discredit what the guy does. Let me just go ahead, right? So they decide on they're going to space the Vulcan. So the guy gives a signal, and then they start to fight the I'm just gonna call them Bane knockoffs at this point. Finally, Bane knockoffs is that battling thing I hear that, and he tells them he's holding back the creatures. He tells them to go. He will stay, and he makes a heroic sacrifice and stuff fighting off there till he's battling thing there, and tells them to go, and they attack him and rip him apart and kill him, and he go on there. So we have Caleb the Vulcan, the hologram that's scared, the Klingon that's a waste of space, and the Klingon's white boyfriend, because that's a great away team there. And the Klingon's boyfriend got injured, so of course that means that it's a perfect time for them to sit down and have a little bit of gay flirting, because that's the best thing to do. I mean, it's not like if people's lives are in danger. No, this is the perfect time for that. Yeah, sure, whatever. So they get into the bridge, but they need to seal it off and stuff. So that's what's going on. The Vulcan is trying to get things there. Caleb is all about, oh, that guy just sacrifices of our country. And the Vulcan tells him the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few and the one. The same thing that Spock had said before. Yeah, nice quote. Don't know why the hell they're using it here, but still, whatever. So of course the Klingon is taking every opportunity to rub up the guy, even though he's bleeding, because that's more important than anything else, right? So Caleb tries to get the ship up so they could seal off the bridge. Doesn't work. The hologram then goes and taps into the ship's computer system to restart it. I mean, the very thing you could have done all along. The very thing you could have done all along. Why were you even supposed to be afraid? You could have tapped into the ship's computer system and stuff from anywhere. But no, idiots wrote this, and this is what keeps happening. So the hologram starts to go in and look into so that the ship's computer is still there. It's just that the computer system had to hide something. They kind of broke up and fragmented, so it has to put back together the pieces and all of that, and that's what they're doing. So these two are going there, and what happens is that they get a message and that something has been ejected from the airlock there, and they look and see that it is the white guy from over there, the one who sacrificed himself. They rip him apart and shot his body out into space, right? And then immediately, the same one who ate her badge starts to freak out. Oh, they killed him. They killed him and they threw his body out. They killed him. And at that moment, I'm telling you this, at that moment, I was hoping that the female Jem'Hadar who shouldn't exist would have walked over to she, hit she one backhand slap and say, "Wash your ass, this is real. Get that all up." I'm telling you people, if that female Jem'Hadar had done that, I would have taken back every bad thing I ever said about that creature. I would have immediately stated, this show gets a perfect score for me just from that one scene. That would have done everything needed to just get me to say, yes, this is a fantastic, fantastic show right there. But no, they don't do that. Instead, what do? Have one of the bridge crew come and take her down to the infirmary. And I know what you're thinking. They took her down to the infirmary to put her down permanently. No, they didn't, but we can all hope. But that's what happens because, like I say, Starfleet is supposed to have the best of the best. They're supposed to be training people for this. But no, you're freaking out. Oh, they killed him and they threw his body out. I'm like, so what exactly did you sign up for? Did you think it was going to be happy jump and skip through space, singing and dancing with friendly aliens? Whatever. He needs it, so that's what's going on. So you see Captain Foot Fetish going to go there, and they're going to meet Paul Giamatti, who comes on board, and he is making a spectacle of everything because he can't think, and calls her like I think it's bestie or something like that, some nonsense he calls her, and then he's drinking vodka there with them, and they're looking to negotiate with him. The basis of it is that he is willing to help them, but what he wants is that he had this little portion of space where he used to conduct some business and thing there. And then ever since the Federation started trading dilithium with some other people, that's cut into his business, so he wants them to stop. And to keep in mind, this is the same dilithium that exploded and caused the burn. Yet you're still using it. Now, the Miyazaki have some experimental drive system on it that that the Romulans used to use at one point in in response from dilithium. The Romulans, I mean, yeah, they planned up and they were a bunch of assholes, but I'm telling you, they really didn't know to make some tech. But anyway, that was it. So no, you're still trading in the very thing that caused the burn. You're still using it. What if it happens again? Keep in mind, the burn is one of the dumbest things that ever happened to Star Trek. But what if it happens again? But for some reason, they don't seem bothered by it. So why should I care? So yeah, let's just go leave that out and go past it and one and the other. And then after, when Paul Giamatti says that's what he wants, the guy from the mom, he says that he has to go and speak with the president and then he'll get back to it and stuff. Right. You're gonna have to do that. So then Paul Giamatti starts to talk to Captain Foot Fetish. And he tells her, and that's what he says is absolute God honest truth. He says that, whenever you talk to me, you never talk to me. You either talk through me or you talk down at me. Which is true. She does do that. And then he basically explains to her that, listen, what she says is that, a conversation is an exchange of ideas between equals, and I don't see you as an equal. So that's what he tells her. And he basically lays out and tells her, listen, you want something from me. You all want something from me. I don't want that damn thing from you. And that means I do have the power. He tells her, you know what? You're going to sit your ass in this chair and stay there. And he's right. That's what he does. He does have the negotiating power and all that. But then if you had common sense, this could actually work out. But whatever, that's their business and that's how they're going to handle that, because that's what they insist on doing. So we get over to this part here, right? And this is another idiotic part. The guy who's in charge of the war college says that, he had theorized earlier that they most likely have a cloaked ship in the area, and that's what's going on. So Princess and Bully Boy over here, I've determined that the cloaked ship would be within a certain area because they can't stay cloaked for long. Why? Why can't they stay cloaked for long? How do you know that? But again, you're not supposed to ask that, and then and they're like, "Oh, that's a real brilliant idea." And of course, he says that it's mostly her idea because, of course, she needs all the validation. So they need to search for this cloaked ship, right? They need to search for the cloaked ship, and she comes up with the idea that, if they try to move around until they're going to notice them. So maybe they could use a probe and have it on, not even thrusters. They're like something like sublight engines, which is ridiculous. But here's my thing. Yeah? Why do you need a probe? Why? Because they theorize that the cloaked ship must be moving, or else they would be able to triangulate it. Now, I clearly remember Geordie LaForge in an episode of Star Trek Next Generation stating that, even if a vessel is cloaked and it's moving, it will cause distortions and they can scan for that. Now, keep in mind, they're inside of a ship graveyard with a bunch of debris floating all over. So even a cloaked ship won't be able to phase through that. It will need to move, and when it moves, it will cause disturbances that you won't be able to detect. when it's moving through the field. So you just need to adjust your sensors in a sweeping pattern and you'd pick it up. But again, that would take common sense. And they don't know how to use that. So the hologram finally activates the computer system on the ship. And the computer system on the ship believes that it's still 120 years ago and that, the crew is still in danger and all the other and freak out and all of this. So they need to let the computer know that this isn't time out going on all of that, right? Because they seal the door, but the aliens who are report for Bane are trying to break through. So what do these geniuses do? The comic book that the Vulcan is reading, they said that, they're going to upload the comic book so the computer system on the ship could flip through. They have uploaded the comic book and the computer is going to go through the comic book, and that comic book is somehow going to tell the computer what happened to its crew. If that sounds stupid to you, it sounds stupid to me. It probably didn't sound stupid to the writers because they were probably sniffing glue while they were coming up with this entire episode, right? And you would think that an advanced computer system would be able to scan through all this comic book, even though it makes no sense. It's really this in less than a freaking nanosecond and get all the information. No. Even if the computer is a little damaged, this computer is taking its own sweet time going through this at a leisurely pace. You understand me? While all of this is happening. And then we have Betazoid Girl here. It's like that she suddenly starts to connect to Caleb because the two of them were getting it on like horny teenagers. She starts to connect mentally with him so she could see what's going on over there. And then she comes back and, oh my God, look at that. I never want to see this guy up that up close again. She's freaking out, but she connected with them and they're over there and they're scared. And they're in the they're in the bridge section and she needs to help them and all. I don't even know. So all Germany is there and he's talking with her until basically tells that even though she's a lanternite and they basically kind of apparently live forever unless something kills them, they can live. She's only half lanternite. Fine. And he tells her how she had a son and his son was on board a ship when the burn happened, and apparently she was the captain of a ship and she could have gone and helped him, but she had to do something else. And look, it was thing like that, and he's going on about a bunch of stuff that apparently we're supposed to care about. But again, every time Holly Hunter is on screen, you could barely understand a freaking word the woman says. So that's how those things work out in regards to it. And she's there listening to him while he talks about all this stuff, playing his little psychological mind games with her and all of that, because that is apparently supposed to advance the plot. So after that, she comes out there and the Betazoid girl tells her that, she's able to connect to Caleb and them, and she could connect with them and let them know what's going on and all of this and the other and stuff. But they get to find out the whole reason why she has this inhibitor thing is that apparently not only can she connect with people mentally, if she gets upset, she could do damage, right? And apparently when she was younger, she couldn't control it and blew out her father's auditory system. So she basically is the reason why the guy is deaf. Oh gee, if only this was a futuristic society with advanced medical technology that could heal something like that. But this isn't. This is written for 2026 and only looks like it's like it's over 1,000 years in the future. So yeah, we don't have that. We don't have that at all. I mean, not to mention the fact, betazoids are telepathic and they wouldn't even really need to talk all that much, but whatever. That's what's going on. And she said, she could go under and try and connect with them and let them know what's going on and get them to help and all of that. That's what she's willing to do that. And they agree to let her try. And then we have the hologram who is still hoping that the ship, which is taking its own sweet time to read through all these comics, understand me, could do so that they could so that the computer will find out what happened to its crew and basically help them, because the aliens that look like ripoffs of Bane are trying to break into the bridge, and the hologram is afraid. Why are you afraid? I don't know, but the hologram is afraid because this is the kind of stupidity that they do, right? So what eventually ends up happening, I kid you not with this, when the computer goes through all of that and realizes that its original crew is gone, they say that they are the new crew, and the computer says, okay, no problem, I'll just agree to that, no problem, yeah. The aliens that look like Bane, that are a ripoff of Bane, after all this attempt to break through the door, what do? Cut a little hole in the door and stick an arm through. After all that time, I think like about 20 minutes of them trying to cut through the door. They just make a hole small enough for one of these aliens to stick their arm, open it, turn the door handle, until you over 20 minutes just for you to cut a hole big enough to stick your arm. Oh my god, it's so stupid. It's not even funny. And then they managed to get the computer to turn on the force field, which cuts off one of the creature's arms. Because apparently the creature was attempting to open the door lockers. And it's so stupid. So yeah, they're there and stuff. Why the hologram is hiding, I don't know. But that's what's going on, because whatever. So Betazoid Girl connects to Caleb again and tells him that, they have a plan and they need his help with something and all of that. And then you see Holly Hunter is talking, and the little bit that I can understand from the subtitles that I was reading, because you literally need those to understand this woman, right? She's talking as if, that Paul Giamatti slipped up and revealed that, he needs them as much as they need him, because yes, he drove off the aliens before, but they're kind of a problem for him. But she still feels that, there's something missing and all of that, which I didn't really care to know about, but that's all what's going on. So they're looking to go on now once again. Paul Giamatti is going over all the stuff that they, and she says that Starfleet has agreed to everything he says, and there's also going to be training, so some incentives and all of that. But just because you need some moment where the women have to act like they're better than everything, she starts to insult him and then start, egging him on to do something that you want and all of that. So listen to this idiotic planet, people, because you got to understand how this is. Apparently, the weapon that Paul Giamatti has to deal with these aliens comes from some kind of bat-like creature. And apparently, it has some kind of sonic wave that these creatures are susceptible to. So the guy from the mummy, states that they have a base close by, right? They have a base close by. But he also stated earlier that they have 5 ships less than a light year away that could really be there to assist them at any point in time. I'm going to get to those ships just now. But he says that they have an experimental base close by. And they have a ship there that is able to use the kind of sound wave energy thing that sound wave they're going to use against these creatures. And it was at this point I really had to hold my head in my hand and say, oh my God, boy. You want to use a sonic wave weapon in space, which is a vacuum. Sound waves need something to travel through. That's why it needs like air or something to travel through. Space is a vacuum. It will not work. That is simple common sense. But these idiots have none of that. I am telling you, none. So they arranged to have this ship come there, and the ship is going to use the sonic attack that will not freaking work in space. Ay. But yes, this is the ship there. This is the ship that we're talking about. These idiots come up with this. You know what? Let me just go because it's clearly not going to work, and I don't really care in regards to it. I just don't think it's making any kind of comprehensible sense. So yeah. So Betazoid Girl once again connects to Caleb, right? And tells him that the experimental drive that is on this ship, they're going to need them to turn it on. And once they do that, they will disrupt they will disrupt the jamming field and allow them to transport them back to the ship, right? Could have just turned on the damn thing and gotten out of there, but whatever. Who knows? Who knows? That's how this is. So yeah, they have their whole up close in your face talking and stuff there. They go there to get it. The ship shows up, is going to use it. They're looking around. They're there as usual. Understand me? They have to get take for it. Caleb takes this moment to tell the Klingon that yes, he's nailing the Betazoid Girl, because this is a perfect opportunity to talk about it. And then the Klingon is like, dude, that's so good. I'm gonna nail that guy soon. Yeah. No, he didn't say that, but you could tell that's what was going on there. Could literally tell that. Yeah. So the hologram is still there for some reason. They turn on the experimental drive. They finally locate the cloaked ship, right? And then the other vessel shows up. They're going to use the sound wave thing, which makes no freaking sense at all. But that's what they're going to do. So they check there, and it turns out, big shocker, that the cloaked ship is actually Paul Giamatti's ship, and he has been working with these other aliens all along. Why? How in the name of God is that going to work in any way, shape, or form? Because here's this thing, the aliens that are basically a ripoff of Bane, right? They say that they have claimed the ship and they're going to eat the people that are on board, right? What the hell do they need Paul Giamatti for? What is he offering them? What is he giving them? What? There is nothing this man has to offer, because they have what they want. They have their hostages. They have what they will get. They have the ships. They're good. But no, he shows up there. And I'm gonna get to a point in a little bit that I don't know nobody's noticing, but I'm gonna get to a point in a little bit. So they show up there. They then destroy the ship that was coming to use the sonic weapon, which made no sense, and open fire on them. So they decide to fire back, right? They turn on the experimental drive there, all of that, things happening. The aliens break in, right? So what happens is that they get in trouble, and Betazoid Girl rips out the inhibitor in her neck, right? And she's gone full in on that now. So they're there attacking, and then the Vulcan does a heroic thing when Phelan is on the ground and like he's freaking out or something. And one of the aliens is about to kill him. And this is the same Caleb who in the first episode ripped a man's ear off and then hijacked a vessel. All of a sudden he can't do that. And the Vulcan gets in front of him and takes a blast to the chest, killing him. Acting like a real Starfleet officer there, willing to sacrifice himself for our comrade. Okay, could have probably just used a Vulcan nerve pinch on him, but whatever. So he does that, and he basically dies, So what happens is that Madam here has a freak out in regards to it, right? She takes Caleb to this the same place where they were with the flower field and all kind of thing, and then tells him that he might not like her after this, but she has to do it and what than the other. And then she literally goes full on Black Canary. Yeah, I'm gonna use this as my thumbnail. My thumbnail. She goes full Black Canary and screams, right? Because she can't control her power. But yeah, what happens when she screams, right? It literally targets and starts killing only the aliens that are trying to kill them. Everybody else is perfectly fine. So she clearly knows who to target and who to take out, right? But if you thought that was stupid, believe it. The hologram, right, that is impervious to blaster fire suddenly becomes vulnerable to blaster fire. How that works, I don't freaking know. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to ask questions. Okay. Now, while all of this is happening and the ships are fighting each other, remember those 5 ships I told you about that the guy from the mummy says that they have less than a light year away and could be here to support them? They never show up. At no point does he call them over because, he's a hologram. He could just give a signal, they will show up and just open fire, but they never show up. They never show up at all. Yeah. So that's what happens. All of that goes on there. Then they transport them from there back to the ship that they're on after, she kills all of them. And then we get to find out now that what happened is that Paul Giamatti set up this whole thing that when the ship with the sonic weapon left, 5 other ships decloaked around this secret base that they had, opened fire before they could call for help, kill a bunch of people, and then went in there and picked clean all the technology and stuff and done. Now, maybe it's just me, but I don't know if anybody has come up with the idea that this guy has to have somebody on the inside working with him. Has to. Because he keeps getting knowledge way too quickly and knowing about it that he shouldn't know about. And I tell you, I will laugh so hard if it turns out to be that the one who ate her badge, if she is his inside person, and like she's some kind of badass pirate who starts bitch slapping people. No, it's so freaking sick. But yeah, so he did that, right? And he basically, and now he's going to be the most wanted man in the sector and they're going to go after him, everything they have and all of that, and la di da da da. People are supposed to care, but that is the whole thing in regards to what happened, right? So then she gets a message from an unknown source, right? And it turns out to be Paul Giamatti. And he basically tells her that the reason why he did this is because he hates her. And I'm like, wait a minute, did this guy just become my favorite character in this show? Because he literally lays it on that he really does hate her, right? And then he goes on to talk about how, Starfleet and the pretentious crap acting like, their way is the only way, and that looking not block at the and kind of rewrite, because some of the things that they are doing are kind of really stupid, and regards and does not at all reflect the way that the Federation operated. But of course, this is Kurtzman trick. And the whole reason that they even introduced the burn was that so they could start to dick around with every freaking thing that Gene Roddenberry created, and then decide, you know what, we are going to change it to our modern way and start putting in a bunch of crap that nobody likes. And he goes on for a while. You get to see that the Vulcan there has died and stuff. I mean, even though Vulcans are supposed to be 3 times as strong as humans and should have been easily able to beat the crap out of those aliens, but whatever, you're not supposed to ask that. So they're all there and they're mourning and stuff, and they put the comic book that they liked there on him and stuff, and she's listening to Paul Giamatti go on about how much he hates her, and they're treating the hologram, who is now apparently vulnerable to blast. Look, it makes no shitting sense. I'm not going to put that out there. It makes absolutely no shitting sense. The hologram cannot be susceptible to blast fire. And even so, why are you using a medical tricorder? Why? What is that going to do? And actually, now that I think about it, if they have programmable matter, why do they have holograms in the first place? Like, that doesn't make sense to look, whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And yeah, that's what's going on and stuff there. And she's slipped into some kind of coma after using her powers to murder selected aliens, which apparently she could control now. Yes, this is some kind of coma. And that's it. And Captain Foot Fetish is still listening to Paul Giamatti talk about how much he despises and hates her. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then he tells her that, he has something planned for her coming soon. And you're not even going to believe it. He's going to really get, look, bottom line of it is the guy hates her. He has something planned, and he's willing and able and ready to unleash it on her very soon. That's what he's talking about. What he's going to do. Caleb is sitting down there. I don't like he's freaking out or something like that. I don't really care. And that's the long and short of it. That's the long and short of it. And he's, in mind, that's what he's going to do. And then that's how it ends. You had an episode where you're trying to act like this was supposed to be your big action episode, and you screwed up everything. Even the most simple, and I mean simple things that could very easily have been put in here to say, okay, this makes everything. No, it's not a bad episode. The concept of it is not a bad episode. Let me correct myself. The concept of it is not a bad episode. But had you had the common sense to do things properly, it could have been a very good episode. But no, when you don't have the common sense to even do that, it turns into a crack burger that you expect people to eat. You have a hologram that is afraid. For what reason, I don't know. You have Caleb who could do anything. You have the Betazoid who blows out people's eardrums screaming. You understand? I mean, you had the only 2 people who acted like actual Starfleet people, and they weren't even in Starfleet. They died because we can't have them around. Understand me? You had literal scientific inaccuracies that made absolutely no sense, and you were trying to act like this is supposed to be really good. It just keeps getting worse. These people are deliberately writing these episodes to piss me off because you're not even trying anymore. You're not even freaking trying anymore. This was their big action episode and they screwed it the hell up. What else do I expect from Star Trek Starfleet Academy? Ah, Father. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. You have a different opinion. I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I shall see you all next time. I'm gonna need a drink after this.